If you've ever stood over a Laguna CNC router creator and watched a cloud of chips swirl around the spindle, you know the hesitation that comes before you click Add to Cart. You're trying to decide whether spending extra cash on a dust collection add-in is really worth it for the kind of projects you do, or if you'll just end up with another piece of metal that gathers dust on the shelf. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The first thing I asked myself was how much of a difference a dedicated overarm dust system actually makes in a real workshop, not just on a spec sheet. The Laguna Overarm Dust System STD is designed to bolt onto the existing overarm of the creator, routing chips and sawdust straight into a hose that you can feed into a shop vacuum. In practice, that means the mess that would normally settle on your tabletop, on the machine's rails, and in the air you breathe is redirected before it even has a chance to settle. For anyone who spends a good chunk of a day cutting plywood, MDF, or hardwood, that can be a game changer. Installation is the kind of thing that most hobbyists dread. You pull out the manual, hunt for the right screws, and hope nothing interferes with the motion of the gantry. With this system, the process is surprisingly straightforward. The mounting brackets line up with the existing holes on the overarm, so you don't need to drill new ones. A few Allen keys and a short tightening of the hose clamp, and you're ready to go. I was able to have it up and running in under 20 minutes, which is a nice contrast to other aftermarket kits that require you to modify the frame or cut new mounting plates. Now, the practical side. What does it actually do once it's attached? My first cut on an inch plywood sheet was a test of visibility. Normally, the cutter throws a fine spray of chips that can quickly cloud the view of the bit. With the dust system engaged, the cloud stayed mostly within the hose's intake, and the work surface stayed clear. That mattered not just for looking at the cut line, but also for keeping the router's linear rails free of grit that can wear them down over time. I found myself needing to pause less often to wipe down the rails, and the machine kept its smooth motion throughout a 4-hour session. One hidden trade-off that shows up after a few hours of use is the added weight at the end of the overarm. The dust collector itself isn't heavy, but the hose and the hose clamp together add a few pounds. For most users, that isn't a problem, but if you regularly run tall workpieces that already push the limits of your machine's axis travel, you'll notice a slight shift in the center of gravity. It's not enough to cause any loss of precision, but you might need to adjust your feed rates a touch when you're near the top of the travel range. Another practical point is that the system is essentially a conduit. It doesn't filter the dust itself. You still need a decent shop vacuum or a dedicated dust collector with a filter to actually trap the particles. If you only have a small portable vacuum, you'll find that the finer dust can escape the hose and still linger in the air. Pairing the overarm system with a shop vac that has a HEPA filter does the trick, but that's an extra cost you have to factor into the overall budget. Who should consider this upgrade? If you're a regular Laguna user, say, you do cabinetry prototypes, decorative panels, or repeat parts for a small business, you'll likely find the dust system pays for itself in time saved cleaning and in the longevity of your machine. The cleaner work area also means less respiratory irritation, which is a real concern when you're cutting composite panels that produce fine silica particles. For a workshop that already runs a full-room dust extraction system, the overarm kit can act as a first line of defense, pulling the bulk of the debris before it reaches the main filter. On the flip side, if you only fire up the router once a month for a hobby project, or if you work with small, low-dust materials like soft pine or acrylic, the extra hardware may feel unnecessary. Some users have pointed out that they already have a dust shoe that hangs from the spindle, and adding an overarm collector didn't dramatically change their cleanup routine. In those cases, the money might be better spent on a higher capacity shop vac or on a better ventilation setup. Looking at the numbers, the product sits at a mid-range price point for aftermarket dust solutions. With a rating of 4.2 out of 5 stars from nearly 1,000 reviewers, the general consensus leans positive. The reviewers who did leave comments tend to highlight the immediate improvement in visibility and the ease of installation. There aren't many complaints, which suggests that the few downsides like the extra weight and the reliance on